All right, folks, we continue on Smile Jamaica. A child of Jamaican parents, Member of Parliament Diane Abbott, made history by becoming the first black woman ever elected to the British Parliament a couple of months ago. She joins us now to discuss breaking the gender bias. Good morning, ma'am. Welcome to Smile Jamaica. It's morning time. Welcome to Jamaica. How are you?
I'm very well, and good morning to Smile Jamaica.
It is great to have you with us. First, congratulations on that groundbreaking move that you made. I said a couple of months ago, I think you know why I said that, because, but let's start with being the daughter of Jamaican parents. I said a child, well, obviously you're no longer a child, but Jamaican parents, tell me about your parents. Where are they from in Jamaica and stuff?
My parents were born in Clarendon, and they came to this country in the 1950s. They're what they call nowadays the Windrush generation, some of the earliest Jamaican migrants. And my mother was a nurse, like many of that generation of West Indian women that came to London. And my father worked in a factory. And they both had left school at 14. So they couldn't have expected that their daughter would become a British Member of Parliament.
And congrats again. What about you and Jamaica? You've been here quite often. When last were you here?
I was last there about 2 years ago, because since the lockdown, it's been harder to travel. So I'm looking very much forward to this trip.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, first black woman to be elected to Parliament. Talk to me about that moment. How did you feel in that space, knowing that you had achieved that and you had broken that glass ceiling?
It was very overwhelming. I was the only black woman out of 650 members of Parliament, and it was quite overwhelming. And for 10 years, I was the only black woman in Parliament. There are now about 12 of us, so it's better. But when I stepped into Parliament that day, it was really quite overwhelming. And I think the people in Parliament were quite astonished to see me. For some time, the attendants and so on would stop me going through doors and down corridors because they just didn't believe I was a Member of Parliament.
Oh, wow. What do you think that did, Diane Abbott, for women in the UK and specifically for black women to see themselves being represented finally in the UK Parliament?
Do you know, I was just talking to somebody about that, a woman who's a little bit younger than me, and she said that when she was a teenager, she and all her friends looked up to me, and if I was on the television at all, they would rush to look at it. They said, oh, Diane Abbott is here. Because I was the only person in politics that looked like that.
Wow. Why politics in the first place, ma'am? Why did you want to serve?
I wanted to change the world. I was a young black girl who was pressed out of school at 14. I could see all the unfairness and injustice, and I wanted to fight against unfairness and injustice. That's why politics.
Yeah.
It's been tough. It's been tough, but I've enjoyed it.
And I'm sure you would have been given a hard time as a black woman in, well, as a black woman, period, but certainly as a black woman in Parliament, I'm the only one. I'm certain you got racist comments and stuff like that. People probably thought you didn't deserve to be there. I'm sure that you had to go through a lot of that, didn't you? And maybe still going through some of that.
Well, it's a little bit better now, but we're now talking about 34 years on. But in the early years, as I say, people didn't expect to see me there. I was stopped. My guests were stopped when I tried to invite black people to Parliament. They would get stopped. As I say, I think it's like if you're in Britain, America, and you're the only black person in the company, yeah, I think it's a bit like that.
Yeah, and I know we're saying it a lot, MP, but I want to ask, what made you believe that you could become the first black woman to be in Parliament? Because there are a lot of times we see barriers and we accept them, that's how the society is. And then one person says, no, it's not, I'm going to change that. Why did you decide that you were going to be the difference?
You know, I just didn't see why not. I remember when I was at school, wanted to apply to go to Oxford or Cambridge, which are Britain's two top universities. And I spoke to a teacher about this, because in order to go to Oxford or Cambridge, you have to sit a special exam. And I said, I want to do the Oxford and Cambridge exam. And she looked at me, and she didn't draw breath. She looked at me and she said, I don't think you're up to it. Wow. And I said, but I do, and that's what matters, isn't it? And so from a very early age, I believed that I could do what I wanted to do. And in a way, I didn't worry about the obstacles. I just went forward.
Yeah, great confidence. There's a saying in Jamaica, ma'am, that if the United States, someone sneezes over there, we get the cold here in Jamaica. I say that because I wanted to ask you the question about this huge abortion move in the United States. How do you think it will affect the rest of the world, and in particular the United Kingdom, if it will affect anything at all?
Abortion became legal in the United Kingdom in 1968. And I don't think anyone is talking about repealing that. This isn't America. And yeah, I think that abortion is accepted. People may not, I mean, I wouldn't personally want to have an abortion, but I think like a lot of people, I think women should have the right to choose. That's the point.
Yes. How important is it, MP, to have women as a part of legislation, to have women represented in the decision-making process?
I think it's very important to have women in the decision-making process, not least because sometimes we're more sensible than the men. I think we have a lot to add to decision-making, but sometimes we have to have the confidence and get the support to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, go ahead, Never.
No, man.
I was saying there are a lot of young women who are watching now, and never mentioned the U.S. when Ketanji Brown was being grilled on her way to the Supreme Court. I know a lot of young women watched and thought, as they've watched you, is it still possible for me? What are your words of encouragement to young women out there who are themselves thinking of not being restricted by gender bias?
It is absolutely possible for you. I think one of the advantages that men have, without being rude, is they have the confidence. And very often women who are just as able, who have just as much to contribute, don't have the confidence. And I would say, believe in yourself and go forward.
Well, Mrs. Abbott, I'm very impressed, and I'm certain you have helped a lot of young people to decide what they want, and I'm sure you've shown a lot of young people to the way forward and let them know that it can be done, male or female. Very impressed, ma'am. I pray that you stay safe, and if and when the next time you're in Jamaica, I'll get a chance to meet you. Absolutely amazing for us to speak with you this morning. God bless you and your family, ma'am. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Diane Abbott, Member of Parliament of the United Kingdom.